MoveOn.org is out of control, and they are holding the Democratic Party hostage. Now, last week, they launched a smear attack ad on General Petraeus in the New York Times, calling him General Betray Us. And this was before he was even able to testify. But this is not the first time that this organization has acted irrationally. Tonight, in part one of a special series, we have decided to investigate this liberal organization. And just wait until you hear some of the other outrageous projects and politicians that they have supported.
MoveOn.org once said that the Democratic Party is theirs, bought and paid for. But what is the left-wing internet activist organization that claims to have so much power, and what exactly does it do? And why are Democrats being scared into submission by this group? With over 3.3 million members, the group raises millions of dollars to back liberal candidates and promote left-wing extremist projects like stopping the war in Iraq, keeping the federal courts liberal, opposing the repeal of the death tax, and blocking foreign oil imports. MoveOn.org Civic Action creates television and print advertisements to promote their liberal agenda, and MoveOn.org Political Action collects contributions from members for liberal candidates to help them get elected. Through 2005, they sent approximately $20 million to left-wing candidates. Silicon Valley tech entrepreneurs Joan Blades and her husband, Wes Boyd, founded MoveOn in 1998 in Berkeley, California, far away from the Washington Beltway. It was during the height of the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and Blades and Boyd were desperately trying to block the congressional impeachment process of President Clinton. They wanted Clinton to get off easy and to be only censured instead of impeached. They also wanted America to, quote, move on from this issue. On September 18th, 1998, they launched an online petition to, quote, censure President Clinton and move on to pressing issues facing the nation. They sent it via email to about 300 of their friends and also paid $89 to set up a website for people to register support for their cause. Within 1 week, they had over 100,000 people registered on their website, and this number continued to grow rapidly. MoveOn is a very well-funded organization. According to FEC filings, MoveOn has raised over $67 million. They have the support of their 3.3 million members, including scores of Learjet liberals and Hollywood elites. Billionaire George Soros gave $2.5 million to the group, and so did his friend Peter Lewis, founder of Progressive Insurance. Lewis has also given money to other ridiculous liberal groups like the Marijuana Policy Project. And it's not like the nut roots are representing the silent majority of America. Blades and Boyd sold their software company, Berkeley Systems, in 1997 for $13.8 million. Sound like any average American that you know? For all the love that they get from the mainstream press and the kowtowing from Democratic presidential candidates, MoveOn's record isn't all impressive. Clinton was impeached, not censored. After the September 11th attacks, they launched a campaign to try and prevent the United States from attacking Afghanistan to hunt for al-Qaeda. They were unable to stop the California recall, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is still sitting in Sacramento. But perhaps their biggest embarrassment came during the 2004 campaign when an ad comparing George Bush to Adolf Hitler was placed on one of their internet sites. The ad used tape recordings of the Nazi leader over President Bush raising his hand to take the oath of office. Hitler's voice says, quote, "A nation warped by lies. Lies fuel fear. Fear fuels aggression, invasion, occupation. What were war crimes in 1945 is foreign policy in 2003, unquote." Conservative and Jewish groups responded with outrage, and eventually MoveOn denounced the ad, but only after public outcry. They claim that the ad was not submitted by the organization and then removed it from their website. Their reign of terror came to a head last year in Connecticut when they handpicked a candidate to run in the Democratic primary against Senator Joe Lieberman. Cable television executive and trust fund baby Ned Lamont had a fraction of Lieberman's experience and substance, but using a nasty campaign that included a blogger depicting Lieberman in blackface, the Nut Roots, led by MoveOn.org, were able to deny Lieberman the Democratic Party's nomination. Of course, in the end, the joke was on them, as Lieberman easily won re-election as an independent, and Ned Lamont has once again faded into obscurity. But what MoveOn.org and their cronies proved in Connecticut was that Democrats can be intimidated into submission. And that is exactly what has been on display in Washington this month. This is the now infamous ad that MoveOn.org ran in the New York Times. It attacked General Petraeus before the general even stepped foot into our nation's capital. Republicans denounced it, the Senate condemned it, and some, but not enough Democrats, did the same. Barack Obama was asked by Charlie Rose during an online debate specifically what he thought of MoveOn.org's character assassination and ducked the question. Hillary Clinton, she did the same thing. Senator Joe Biden was the only Democratic presidential candidate to criticize the ad, and he has been excoriated on left-wing websites. Earlier this week, President Bush criticized the ad during a press conference at the White House.
Most Democrats are afraid of irritating a left-wing group like MoveOn.org, are more afraid of irritating them than they are of irritating the United States military.
In response, MoveOn.org issued a statement saying, quote, "What's disgusting is that the president has more interest in political attacks than developing an exit strategy to get our troops out of Iraq and end this awful war," unquote. But who's really more interested in political attacks? MoveOn.org has made a living off that business. They extort support from liberal politicians through fear and intimidation. It's like they're running a protection racket. They don't represent America. What you have are a bunch of Hollywood and Silicon Valley elitists, and their social agenda resembles that of San Francisco. They terrorize the political process. The only hope is that the American voters will see them for who they are before they infiltrate the White House.
And on the other side of the break, it is the unauthorized history of O.J. Simpson, from his infamous murder trial to this Las Vegas scandal.